Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm AndyRC and today I'm checking out the Cheerson CX-91 jumper from gearbest.com. This aircraft is very similar to the CX-91 that I reviewed previously on the channel, except this one is a bit bigger. It's about a 210 to 230 sized model, and it is ready to fly, so you've got everything in the box, except this one is a little bit heavier than the CX-91. It's about 400 grams with the battery, and it comes with a big battery for its size. This is a 1600 milliamp 3-cell battery, so this is just a 3-cell quadcopter, so it's a beginner quadcopter really. It doesn't have acro mode. It's got stability mode where it self-levels, and then it's got what we know as horizon mode where it still stabilizes itself, but when you get to the edge of the stick you can do a flip or a roll. So it's a really nice looking aircraft, this. It's got one of these RC car style bodies, which I think the Kaideng K70 had, very similar to that. It does feel a little bit brittle, so I'll have to see if it cracks in a crash. No doubt I will be crashing this. To get the top off, you have these clips here and they just pull back and then you can lift the canopy off. However, you don't really need to do that out of the box. So the only thing that you need to do is put the propellers on. Now, I do usually do an unboxing, but I am not doing that with this because the box is quite complicated. Each component comes in its own individual box. So the quadcopter has its own box, the transmitter, the FPV gear, and it's a maze to get it all back into its main box. So I thought to save time, I'll just take you through all the components as I go through them. So yeah, the first thing you need to do is install the props, and the props are really interesting. They cover the entire of the motor, can you see there? And the motor has these two pins sticking up there, and what you have to do is you are given a tool in the box and that sort of sits over the top and you twist the propellers on. Now, it sounds easy, but I found it quite fiddly because you can see that the props cover all of the motor, so you can't grab hold of the motor at all to fit them, but I've got them on anyway. It's just a bit of a problem. If you want to put it all back in the box, you're gonna have to take the propellers off, which isn't an easy job in my opinion, but there you go. So this is an all-in-one RTF FPV package, so let's go through it. We've got a camera up the front here. It is a 720p camera, and you can see there you can move the angle of it, so you've got fully up if you want to fly fast, and you can have it in the center if you just want to potter about like I do, and you can even angle it down if you are wanting to get some nice scenic shots. But really this is designed to be a training aircraft for, say, a 250 quad with acro, etc., and loads of power. So we've got two lights up the front as well. Now this camera, as well as being an FPV camera, also records in 720p. You have got a SD card slot there, and you are given a micro SD card and reader in the package. You are given a lot of stuff with this, so that is also going to record at the same time. And if we follow it along here, we have got a cloverleaf antenna coming out at the back here, and it has a 300 milliwatt VTX, so we're going to get a lot of range with this one, well hopefully anyways, because I think the control range is 300 meters as well. So we've got a nice setup there. Now, one thing that I noticed with this is that to get to this SMA adapter here, you have to take the top off it. Now, it does come with this installed out of the box, but it gets loose quite easily. So you have to take the top off to tighten it up, which is a bit of a pain. You can also change the channels on the VTX as well. There's dip switches under there, and you have to take the top off, of course. And you can't see any ESCs, and that is because they are all hidden inside. There's 18 amp ESCs, but you can only use a 3-cell battery with it. They are not 4-cell compatible. Now, one thing that I did notice with this is the arms are quite flexible. I can move them about, but as I say, it's not really designed to be a fully fledged mini quad. It's more of a beginner's practice quad. I mean, you're going to need to have some experience to fly this, don't get me wrong. You know, it's not just going to fly itself. It's got no GPS or anything like that, and it is going to be fairly fast. But it's more of a move from, say, a smaller quadcopter to a brushless quadcopter, just like the X-251 was. So that is pretty much the quadcopter explained. One thing I do like is the battery is an XT60 connector, and we've got a balance plug on the back so that I can use my hobby grade charger. I wasn't too keen on this strap that it uses. It doesn't have sort of like a thread through it, so it's quite difficult to get the battery in tight. Now we have a LED strip at the back which gives you some indications. It tells you when the quadcopter is armed, and it also changes color through the various different modes, which I'll go through in a bit. But yeah, pretty impressive package really. It is so cheap, and you should see the stuff that you get with it. It is crazy. For starters, you get FPV goggles given with it, which I don't know how they have done this, because do you know what? These are those sort of Cinemizer goggles that you can find on eBay for about 50 quid. But this is like 150 quid package, so it's not bad. And do you know what? The quality of these goggles is really good as well. And you can fit your glasses around in this rubber case here. Now, if you do wear glasses, you're going to need to wear them because there's no diopters with these, and you'll get a pretty blurred image if you don't wear your glasses. However, you know, the screen is pretty big when I'm comparing them to Fat Sharks. You know, I was really surprised because I thought, well, these are going to be tiny. You've got a big 16:9 image there, pretty impressive. Now, it plugs in here, so there's no video receiver in this. What you are given instead is a cable. Oh, I've got so many cables. Now this cable here is an interesting one. It's a multi-purpose cable, so it tells you where each one plugs into. So this is for charging this one. So if you plug that into there and then this USB connector into a computer or something, it's going to start charging them. And then on this side here, let's just swing it around there. This side goes into the AV out of the FPV monitor, and then this one becomes the video in here. So quite confusing cables there. I'll show you the FPV monitor in a bit, but yeah, not bad. The only thing that I would say about these goggles really is the battery is integrated, and I can't imagine it lasting very long because they feel very lightweight. So yeah, there's no indication to how long the battery is going to last. Just make sure that you have it charged, and yeah, not bad really, I have to say. Quite impressed with that. So let's just move that out of the way. I mentioned the prop remove before. You're also given a screwdriver which sort of slots together. So onto the transmitter. Now I have received this in mode 2, so I'm going to be flying it in mode 2. I did take it apart to see if it could be converted to mode 1 easily. It can be converted, but not easily, so I'm going to fly it in mode 2. Now the first thing that I had to do with this transmitter is take the back of it and tighten the tensioner up on the throttle, because it was springing back down here, and that would have caused all kinds of problems whilst I was flying it. You know, I'm not very competent in mode 2 anyway, so I don't want the throttle cutting on me automatically. So I tightened up the tensioner at the back, and it seems to have fixed it. But you'll notice here that the throttle clicks. You might be able to hear it there, but the clicking stops about there. And so you've got this sort of dead zone here, and that's where the throttle was sort of springing back. Well, it doesn't do it now, but yeah, slight design flaw there, because it stops clicking at about, what is that, 30% mark, and then the rest is all sort of just loose, so bear that in mind. This is the Cheerson CX-20 transmitter, rebranded to CX-91. So we've got some stuff on here that's not in use, like your auxiliary 1, auxiliary 2. It takes 4 AA batteries. And we've got this switch here, which is a momentary switch, so it doesn't stay in its position there. So this position there, 0, takes a photo, and this starts video recording. And then this switch here is your different mode. So you've got stability mode there, and this is horizon mode where you can do flips. You've got trims, and this is the on button. This is one of those quadcopters where you have to turn the quadcopter on first for it to get a bind, which I'm fine with. So here we have got the included FPV monitor and another cloverleaf antenna, which is quite nice. It's a good monitor, this, but it has a built-in battery, and it doesn't seem a very big battery. It seems like you're going to have to keep this topped up before every flight, otherwise you may lose your FPV feed. And I wasn't too keen on the way that they have mounted this either. Now, you have to put all this together. You're given this bracket here, and you've got 2 screws that goes in there, and a little clip that just clips in the back, and another screw here, and a very flimsy screw that goes into the back of the monitor. And because of its sort of angle, you have to have the monitor at this side here, otherwise your antenna gets in the way of this. So a bit of a design flaw. But you know, you do get a sun shield with this. Now the sun shield is really stiff, which is why I've got it open already for this review. Takes some force to get it open, which isn't great. However, the other features of the monitor are pretty good. You've got a USB slot here, and you are given a USB cable, and that charges it. We've got an on and off switch here, and a light that comes on there, and this is the monitor when you switch it on. So you get snow, so no blue screen, which is nice. See there, it tells you, first of all, it tells you what frequency you're landed on, and then here you've got your battery level and the signal strength level as well. At the top we've got some buttons. This one here is a channel selection, so it moves the channels up. However, if you long press it, it auto scans. And then we've got the band changer there, so you've got 4 different bands on there. You've got plus and minus keys here, and then the menu button, so those change the menus. Now the menu is in Chinese, but you can imagine you've got your various settings like brightness, contrast, color, and you can change this to 4:3, which is quite nice, so you can repurpose this monitor if you like. And yeah, pretty impressive monitor, and like I say, you get this right hand polarized cloverleaf antenna too, which is quite nice. So also included in the box is actually a case for the FPV goggles, which is quite nice. We've got a charger here. It's one of those that charge from the balance port of the battery, so they're usually about 0.7 amps, so I don't use these. I'm going to use my hobby grade charger because that's quite a big battery. It'll take a while to charge off this. And you're also given this lead here. This is so that you can connect this to the video out and plug it into another source. Like I say, this is how you use the goggles. You plug this lead into here, and then this end goes into the goggles. And that is about everything. You know, it's a pretty good package for the money that you pay. A couple of concerns that I've got before I fly it is these arms flexing. You know, these are powerful motors, and if there's any vibration issues, it's going to be caused by that flex. We've also got these fairly weak landing legs as well, and it looks like it houses one of the antennas there. And yeah, so I have to see if I crash it and see if those survive. Another good thing is there's a beeper on board, so when the battery starts getting low, this thing will start to beep. That is pretty good. It has got all of the essentials really to get you in the air, which is great. So let's go and see how this thing flies. So it's a fairly windy day today, as expected. It's becoming autumn here now. So I've got the quadcopter bound to the transmitter. You have to plug the quadcopter in first, then turn the transmitter on. I've also got the FPV monitor going, and the video is recording. Apologies if there's a lot of wind noise on the camera. There's not a lot I can do about that, but it is going to test this thing to the max. I would say it's probably about 12 miles per hour or so. So to arm the quad, you have to have the throttle fully down, and then you have to push the rudder to the right, and then the light on the quadcopter should change. So if we do that, see, it goes to green, but if you don't do anything for 5 seconds or so, it will disarm. And it seems that if you press the rudder back that way, it also disarms. So it's gone green, but if I press that back, disarms. and same the other way as well. So we're armed there. I have got it in the angle mode there, and I've got the video recording. Let's go for a takeoff. It's a really nice quiet model, this one, which is good. Doesn't attract too much attention. Those lights work really well. Just try and get it close to the camera for you. So I am flying line of sight at the moment, but I've got the camera going as well. The camera's pretty good. I like how you can change the angle of it. It's also about a 110, 120 degree field of view, which is quite nice. Get a really nice shot from it. Listen how quiet that thing is. So the first thing that people will want to be interested in is the punch. So let's do that. Whoa! Okay, that's more than I expected. Now, I always do these punch tests, and in person they look impressive, and then on video they don't. But I tell you, this has got some punch. Oh yeah. Okay, so you have to be careful not to cut the throttle though, because when the throttle is at 0, the props completely stop. So let's have a look what the FPV feed is like. It doesn't look like it's breaking up at all. Yeah, really nice. Look at that, it's hovering at about, what, must be 30%. Loads of power with this one. Pretty impressive. See those LEDs really nicely as well. One thing that I didn't mention is the SD card that comes with this is a 8 GB, which is the first time I've seen that. It's usually 4 GB. It's flying really nice, you know, line of sight. Let's stick it into horizon mode and see if I can do some damage. So I'm flying mode 2 here, which isn't my native mode. So the rates are quite docile. You have to put a lot of stick in to get it to do a roll. So you want to gain a fair bit of height before you do these maneuvers, but not bad though, you know. It's not wobbling about. It could be a lot more locked in, I will say that. But you tend to find that with these beginner quadcopters, where I suppose them being dialed in is not as important as them just being able to fly basic functions. Wow, actually it recovers from those flips pretty well, I have to say. Controls do feel a little bit sloppy, but I've flown much worse. So I think that I'm going to get a long flight out of this. So I'm going to fly it around line of sight for a bit. And then I'm going to do some FPV. FPV on the monitor, not bad. Got a fire going over there. The picture is not breaking up whatsoever. Gonna have to be careful because I'm flying this mode 2 and it's very windy. The thing could drift away from me. Look at that though. Do you know, this thing is fast. It's getting away really quick, and that could be the wind blowing it away. But you know what? FPV on this monitor is really easy. And another good thing is there is absolutely no frame rate drop on the camera while it's recording. That's usually a problem with these ready to fly quads that record in HD. Usually get like a bit of lag. There's no lag at all. That is pretty impressive. I am impressed with that. I wonder if I can do a flip doing FPV with the monitor. Yep. And you know, it recovers really well. That is pretty good. Let's try it again. We've got a fire over there. Yep, that recovers nicely, that does. Let's fly through some of the smoke. Look at that. This thing is fun. You know, I had pretty low expectations of it, but it has surpassed them. Okay. Whoops. Seems like it did a flip there on its own because I'm in horizon mode and it got to the edge of the stick too quickly. Look at that. range is really good. Fly through some smoke again. Hopefully I don't find a tree through it. I hope this is recording nicely. No indication to how long it's been recording for, so you don't know how long you've been flying for. But I imagine that we're going to get a good flight time out of this. Yeah, very docile rolls, but perfect for a beginner. Same with the flips as well. I think this is going to be a good one to fly with goggles. Managing to fly it with the monitor. I've not flown an aircraft with a monitor for a while. Oh, the wind's getting up. I'm having too much fun here. I think this may be the first time that I've flown an aircraft FPV that's like a racing aircraft in mode 2. So my brain's in overdrive here, trying not to crash. I'm just about managing it though. No. Oh, the wind's blowing us away. Quick, 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 come back. I'm trying to convert everything into mode 2 and my head's not liking it. This is really fun though. I might have to spend the time and convert this to mode 1 because it's worth spending the time on it. Okay, let's bring it back. See if I can spot it line of sight. Oh, it's further away than I thought. Those lights are so bright. Now I did try and fly this in the dark to see if the lights worked, but the lux value on the camera must be pretty high because it didn't work well in the dark. So it is really just for trying to spot it in the daytime really. And it's not a very good night fly this because you've got no lights on the motors, just those lights at the front and the lights at the back, so when it's facing to the side you have no lights. So yeah, just a daytime fly this one, but a really nice one. Let's bring it in for a landing. So to conclude, this is a pretty good package. There's just a couple of downsides, really, and that is this throttle problem that I had. I think this will put a few people off, but it's really easy to correct if you have this problem. You just undo the 4 screws at the back, and then you've got a tension rod going across the throttle, and you can tighten it up with a screwdriver and push it in a little bit as well to make it stiffer. And I didn't have any problems at all. I think I would have had problems if I hadn't done that though, because the throttle was coming back on its own, sort of springing back. It's not on a spring, but because there's no tension there, it was just dropping with the gravity. And another downside is probably the battery in the FPV monitor. It doesn't last very long. You've got 5 levels of battery and that goes down pretty quick, so just make sure that you charge it up before every flight. Same goes with the goggles as well. It's really cool that you get those goggles with the package. Other than that, I can't really fault it. It's a great beginner quadcopter. One thing that I will say is these things come out pretty easy, these clips, but they are just RC clips. You can buy them online for RC cars, and I didn't crash it. I thought I was gonna crash it, but I just didn't. It was really easy to fly, and there was no vibration issues from these arms at all, and the legs survived no problem. And there's a great flight time as well, 9 to 13 minutes depending on how much aerobatics that you do and punch outs, etc. So yeah, really good quadcopter. I'll put a link in the description if you wish to get it. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.